Hello,
Good morning, Chloe. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Happy New Year. I haven't
Happy New Year. It's lovely to see you.
Can you believe we're in February and I'm wishing you Happy New Year because I haven't seen you yet.
I know, and usually we would have seen each other around January, wouldn't we?
We've always seen each other in January, but you look fantastic. How have you been keeping?
Yeah, really well, thank you. So obviously a bit strange this pandemic and working from home for the past year, but it's all going well, thank you.
Well, look, you look incredible. It's so funny, Chloe, you just said the right thing. Somebody said to me the other day, we're now living at work.
Yeah, we are. We literally are.
Living at work 24/7. But look, I want to say thank you so much for brightening up my day. You know, January and February have always been about events and meetings and conferences and planning and strategy, and you've always been a key part of that, really, as we go through our education of the day, so of the year even. So I'd just like to thank you so much for, firstly, for letting me wear a white tuxedo in the middle of winter.
Great. Any excuse?
And but also, for being a key part of my In the Consulting Room project. I think you know all about that. It's all about patient education. I launched In the Consulting Room, well, actually about 2007. Actually, I always wanted to bring patient education at the core of everything I did in the NHS, and then now at S-Thetics here in Beaconsfield. And you've been to a number of our events now, and you can see how that's growing. And one of the key things I wanted to do was bring the treatments and our devices, the technologies, the brands that we have. And I wanted to demystify that and bring that to our audience, really,
Yeah.
patients in the clinic and beyond, so that patients can make safe decisions, the best choices, and get the best out of their aesthetic treatments. So what I thought I'd do now is bring this home to where I have learned, home ground, which is all about my own education. And a lot of my education has actually started with you, without you even realizing. 5, 6 years ago, when I first started coming to ACE conferences, as a healthcare professional, no clinic, but I was doing this. And that's how I met you.
Yeah, yeah, it's 6, 7 years ago now, and we've sort of been with you on your journey, haven't we? When you first launched your clinic, and as you've expanded and grown and introduced these events that you've just talked about, we've sort of been with you all of the way. So it's been really lovely to see how your clinic has grown and your patient database has increased, and to see, like you said, all of these fantastic events that you've been hosting. We've been to quite a few of them now. So it's lovely to be taking part in this one. Not quite the same as coming to Headsore House for a very glamorous event, but nice to see you, even virtually, all the same.
Absolutely. And Headsole House will happen. It will happen in 2022. It does. I feel super optimistic. But look, Chloe, you and I go back a long way now. And, I really would love for you to share with our audience and the world out there who Chloe Gronow is, what she does, and yeah, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I am the editor and content manager at S-Thetics. So S-Thetics is made up of the S-Thetics Journal, which is a monthly publication that I think I've got a copy here somewhere to show you. Yeah. So we're a monthly publication for medical aesthetic practitioners. We also run the Aesthetics Conference and Exhibition, which does what it says on the tin. It's a conference and exhibition all about aesthetics for the practitioners working in the specialty. That usually happens around spring. It's obviously on hold for the moment. We also run CCR, which is the same, which brings in a bit more of a surgery element. So we also invite plastic surgeons to that event, which is fantastic for the two specialties to come together. And that happens around October. And we run the Aesthetics Awards, which you can see our little magazine all about here. So the Aesthetics Awards usually takes place in December and is a brilliant event just before Christmas, where we essentially celebrate all of the practitioners, the clinics, the brands, the companies, the people behind the brands, for all of their achievements that year. So we celebrate the new product launches, the best clinics in various regions, which you've been successful in, reception teams, practitioners, everyone. It's usually an amazing event just before Christmas. Obviously on hold this year, but we're going to be hopefully going ahead in May. If we don't go live, then we'll go virtual, which will not be the same, but it'll still be a really brilliant event to celebrate all the amazing work that is done. And then more recently, we have launched Beyond Beauty, or going to launch. It's about to come out in about April time, which is a magazine exclusively for consumers. So those people who are interested in aesthetic treatments and cosmetic surgery. And the aim is, we've essentially got three main aims. The first is to enhance knowledge, and that's really, really important to us. So everyone can make safe and informed choices in aesthetics. The second is to build trust in the industry, because we do feel that there might be a bit of a lack of trust around certain procedures and people not really understanding who are the best practitioners to go to. And the third is to promote positivity, which is essentially because there's lots of negative stories in mainstream media, and we want to get rid of that. We want to put positive spin on it and tell everyone about all the positive outcomes you can have from aesthetic treatments.
I love that. And I love the fact that your three pillars starts with education, which I wholeheartedly believe in, and then ends with positivity, which is really important, because you're absolutely right. Everything that we do as practitioners, whether it's doctors or nurses or estheticians, it doesn't matter. We're here to actually make someone generally look and feel better.
Yeah, of course.
Not negative. We're actually here to deliver a positive. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes in media or even social media, anything can just spin it in a negative light, whereas there is more positive than the other way. So no, thank you. And when it comes to, as you say, your journey, you've covered so much there. I've actually brought some of my historical.
Wow, yeah, there's a few there.
I have December 2019, I've got November 2018, etc. So it goes back a long way, but there is a lot of content in each and every one of these. So again, education of the healthcare professional, and this is where it all starts. I always say, fill that cup so you can actually fill somebody else's. And I would love to know more about the conferences, because I've been a part of ACE as a voyeur, just watching and learning. And obviously now I've had the honor of presenting as part of the panel as well. How challenging is it to organize one of those? How much time does it take?
Oh, well, as soon as we close one, we start the other. So a year, it's a good year of planning and work that goes into it. Obviously, we've got a fantastic team. So we've got our events team who manage all the logistics of the event. We have got our sales team. Sponsorship is a big part of running an event to make sure it's successful and to make sure we can put it on for free for the healthcare professionals, so that they can come and they can learn without being restricted by having a fee. So also, so we have exhibition stands. So we've got our sales team that sell all of those stands to the big brands and make sure all the best brands are there. And recently, within the last few years, we've moved to more sponsored education, which we were a little bit hesitant to at first. And personally, I'm an editor. I'm all about sort of unbiased material and making sure everything is fair and balanced. But actually, some of the brands, you'll know, Sharina, because you speak on behalf of many aesthetic brands that you have in your clinic. The level of education is so high. It is fantastic. It's all really well researched stuff. They've got the best key opinion leaders able to break down the science behind the treatments, how they work, how they can benefit practitioners and patients. So that's a big part of our conferences. From my side, I'm more involved in the non-sponsored content. So we also run a business panel, if you will, where we have lots of different talks from practitioners and business experts, like marketing experts, lawyers, people who are involved in training. Because sometimes, for a healthcare professional, if you've spent a lot of time working in the NHS, coming over and running a business, you'll know, can be a real challenge. So it's all about supporting practitioners to be able to do that successfully and ultimately offer the best service to their patients. So I really enjoy being part of that process.
It's a lot of work, but also very satisfying at the end of it. I watch your team, and by the way, big kudos to all of the team at the Aesthetics Journal, because I know each and every one of you, and your heart really pours into the creation and the execution of all of this. And then I know you celebrate at the end as well, which is really great, that you do that as a team. But I want to also then mention the demystifying of all of these different hats, because I feel that these conferences are the glue in which a practitioner like myself, very new, not having a clinic, can come to have access to learn and continue to learn how to evolve as a medical practitioner, as a clinic owner, a business owner, all of those things really. And where do you see the element of, how do you say, the business side of things coming into it? Do you see that's changed over the years? Because that's the one thing I see more coming into your conferences.
Yeah, most definitely. I think people are becoming more confident and recognizing more that they do need to get clued up on lots of different elements of running a business, essentially. One of these I've noticed in particular is social media. We all know how fast social media is growing, and just from when I started out in this role, our strategies and our marketing reach has really, really developed with how we use social media and how we communicate with an audience. And I think one of the big things that we've seen that everyone should recognise really is that patients and consumers are becoming more educated on the brands available to them within aesthetics. You'll have seen this. Lots of people will come to your clinic and ask for a specific brand, sometimes even ask for a particular volume of filler that they think they need in their lips or their cheeks. And I think sometimes it's been seen as a bit of a negative amongst practitioners, but I really do believe now is the time to embrace that, and think about how we can educate our patients to make the right choices, so everyone watching can essentially be confident that their practitioner have chosen the right brands, the brands are supportive, and making sure they're only releasing products that are really valuable and really effective, and well researched. And then, yeah, essentially moving forward with that so people can make those safe choices and choose appropriate practitioners, for everyone to be safe, essentially.
I completely agree with you. I think that has actually been one of the biggest changes in the last 5 years in aesthetics. I've watched it from the conference, and then I've watched it from beyond, that social media really has revolutionized everything that we do. And you've spent a lot of time on social media recently as a group and as an independent yourself, Chloe. I've watched you interview a lot of practitioners. So you're clearly bringing value to other practitioners out there where we get to share our expertise. And how do you enjoy those? How do you pick and choose?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. And like I said, like we've had to really adapt. And I think when I first started, Twitter was a big thing, and especially amongst a professional audience, which was our audience, Twitter works really well. And, it's more about, writing really concise, short, snappy things that will be engaging, but also educational. That was great for me. Love that. I'm a writer. That's what I do. That's what my skill set is. Fine. Then in the last couple of years, Instagram has really, really grown, and that reach is massive. See, millions of people on Instagram now, and a lot of them are people interested in aesthetics treatments. So with that, practitioners have moved to Instagram, which has meant we've had to adapt and introduce Instagram. So our Instagram has grown hugely over the last few years, but within that, we've had to sort of adapt our style. Instagram is more about the images, it's more about the videos rather than the text and the writing. So that has been a particular challenge for me, because I'm not a huge fan of being on camera and doing sort of live interviews, which which we've done a lot of this last year, but it's been really fun. And I think it's, it's nerve-wracking to start with, but there's nothing wrong with trying something new and having a new challenge and seeing if you can do it. Before, if we didn't have to, I'd go, no thank you, I'll just carry on writing. But there's nothing wrong with trying something else, and it's actually worked really well for us. We've had brilliant engagement. And now as we go to launch Beyond Beauty, having those skills and knowing what works well and how we can best engage with people interested in aesthetic treatment is really, really important. So there's going to be a lot more sort of video-based content, short, sharp images with quite straightforward text and things like that to really get people on board and help them understand what's best for them.
I think that's brilliant as a collective, as well as an individual, that you've adapted, you've accepted and then adapted to this new norm. And you've also evolved as an individual and as a team into this, as you say. I remember in March last year when we went into the first lockdown, sat on my chair and we had a conversation on the phone about, hey, what shall we do? And now I've watched you 9 months later, and you're just powering these Instagram lives and all of those things. And you've helped practitioners have access to the aesthetics world, as well as to other practitioners, the business side of things, so much. And it's been really interesting now you talking about Beyond Beauty, because that's a project that you talked about almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Aesthetics.
Yeah, no, it's been sort of a long time coming. We were hoping to launch it a bit earlier than what we had, but obviously pandemic made that a little bit more difficult. But it's sort of between myself and our deputy editor Shannon, is something that we've talked about on and off for a good 2 years, I would say. And then last year it just felt like the right time to start planning and putting it together. So we did all of that. We did it in secret. Didn't tell the rest of the team what we were doing. Planned a whole magazine. Decided exactly what we thought was going to be really relevant and interesting to readers. Spoke to a lot of our friends and family who we knew would have a bit of an interest in it to get their feedback, worked out who we would interview for it, and then pitched it to the rest of the team. And luckily everyone was on board with it and really, really excited. So much so that as well as doing the magazine, which will be out quarterly, we're also going to be running a large scale event as well, because that's what we do. We run ACE, we run CCR, like I said, so these are really, really big events. So we're going to do the same. So Beyond Beauty Live will take place in 2022.
Nice.
Likely. So yeah, really exciting.
Well, everything that you said was going to happen has already happened. So you're hitting your milestones beautifully there. And, I think everything that you've done with ACE and all of your conferences where you've delivered to the healthcare professionals and our teams, basically, and you're now taking it straight to the consumer. And that's where it's at. I've always believed in that patient education. So we now are in this new normal now. And next year, I know that you will have your live event. It will happen because you will make sure it happens. How do you feel, and how do you think clinic brands, practitioners, all of us will adapt moving forwards, really? How are we going to go into this new norm?
I think everyone's learned a lot in the past year. Despite the obvious negatives and challenges we faced, there's been lots of learning opportunities, and particularly for practitioners, it's been virtual consultations that they've had to introduce to their patients, and I think patients, from speaking to loads of practitioners now, patients seem to be really embracing this. And I would say to anyone watching, don't be put off by virtual consultation. They can be just as effective and just as valuable experience as seeing a practitioner in clinic. You've learned new skills and how best to approach them, that you can deliver to your patients. Some of the more treatment focused things, I would say the Zoom effect has been quite popular, where people have been looking at themselves on a screen for a lot of the day, which I've certainly been doing, and you start noticing things that you don't necessarily see when you look in the mirror in the morning. which I suppose could be seen as a bit of a negative, and there has been an increase. I'm sure you'll note this, Sharina, of people coming to clinic with these new concerns. Some of them, yes, absolutely, you know, the things that can be treated, and you'll benefit from and feel better in yourself for having treatment. But some things I think everyone just needs to be aware are exaggerated, are not as much of a big problem or a big deal or that noticeable. And choosing a practitioner who'll be honest with you and tell you that actually maybe you don't need treatment yet is really, really important. And a lot of it comes down to skincare, doesn't it? And choosing good skincare that will just enhance your skin quality, and that will make you look better on Zoom. So choosing a practitioner who will give you that advice and not try to oversell treatments to you is really important, and will be a positive going forward as more practitioners adapt to this and more patients begin to recognize.
You're absolutely right. I think we always go back to those two words: accessibility, adaptability for this new way. I mean, look at how I've got access to you today, you know,
Yeah.
different parts of the country. And we have embraced Zoom video consultations since March last year. We were doing them on a very, very ad hoc basis, not with Zoom, but with telemedicine. And now we just do it as a norm, even when we converse with patients or we're doing skin health reviews. And skin health has really been a core part of all of this, and everyone's stationary. So I think the Zoom effect has actually created a stationary
Mm.
type person, even now with homeschooling at home. And with that stationary, we have PC posture, we have muscular imbalance, and as a result, we just don't have the blood pumping to the skin. And there's a lot that can be done with diet, exercise, all of those lifestyle consultations that really can be done over a Zoom with actually being able to see somebody's skin. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. Skin health consultations have been really, really key. And you know, we're keen about patient education. That's always been at the core of what we do. And
Mm.
you're taking that to your audience as well. You've been to a few of my events now, Chloe, over the last 5 years, in clinic and beyond. So do you mind me asking, what do you think about our events and any feedback on them? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
I love your events, and like you said, they've really grown over the years, from when you first started running them, where they were just in the clinic, and when you only had a couple of clinic rooms. You've now expanded the clinic quite significantly, so they were much smaller to start with, but the, you know, engagement was really great. Your team are always so lovely and welcoming. To your most recent, it must have been just before lockdown began, at Headsore House, which was a, you know, hugely glamorous event where there was loads of different brands to meet, and fantastic speakers, experts in their field, sharing their knowledge and education with your patients, and they were absolutely brilliant. I think something that would be fantastic to see going forward is bringing more of your patient experiences on board, because you've got some really sort of well-established patients who've been with you since the beginning, and I'm sure their journeys are fantastic, and allowing more people to see that patient journey, and how aesthetics isn't necessarily just a one-off treatment here and there. It's a whole journey, like you talked about skin health, and as you age, the different things you can introduce, the different things you can try and adapt. It is really interesting, and I think that'll be really interesting to lots of people who are interested in having aesthetic treatment with you.
Thank you for the feedback, and thank you for the idea as well. My brain is clicking because we're heading towards our 6th-year anniversary in 3 months. So yes, there will be an event of some description. So watch this space. I shall keep you posted. But you know, everything that you represent is all about that end user, which is the patient. So by feeding the practitioners the knowledge through your events, and then finally now we're able to deliver. But I have to say that you and your team have been always there. You're everywhere. You know,
Mm.
you're up north, you're down south, you're left, right, all throughout the UK. So I just want to say thank you, because you've all always taken a very personal approach to really making sure that we're enjoying our careers as well, and that we give back. So, you know, thank you for actually reaching out to us to collaborate with your journal. It must be challenging sometimes chasing us doctors for that final feed. Yes.
Yes, yeah, no, it can be, and yeah, a lot of the journal we say it's written by practitioners for practitioners, so we facilitate all of that. So a lot of the content is written by practitioners, and that relies on having really good relationships with practitioners,
Right.
so that they're willing to write and share their knowledge, and often giving up their time for free to do so. So we're so grateful for everyone being so engaged with the journal, and so passionate, isn't it, in their fields, and wanting to share their knowledge with other practitioners so other practitioners can benefit their patients. You know, people, something you really see in this specialty is people aren't selfish. People are really willing to share what they know, and to help progress the specialty for everyone. Ultimately, that is the patient, the end user. Um, it's all about offering them the safest and most effective treatments. So doing what we do and being a part of that is really special.
Yes, and thank you again for inviting me to be a part of that, but also for making it known that it is available for doctors and nurses and practitioners
Mm,
like myself to be a part of and contribute to. I think if we didn't know about it, we wouldn't put ourselves forwards for that. And I'm continuously inspired by a lot of my colleagues, and I still am, to take myself to that next level, and not be shy, not be afraid, because we do actually have a duty of care to give back, don't we?
exactly. So important. So I think you're all doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, Chloe. But look, I'd like to know where you started off in journalism, because you've been doing this now in aesthetics for almost 7 years, 8 years almost. How did you get here?
Yeah, so I did a degree in English and contemporary media. At the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I was quite good at writing, so I thought, okay,
Very
I'll
good.
just do a degree in English, and see where that takes me. And within that, I did modules in journalism, which I really enjoyed, and I did a journalism-based dissertation, which I wrote about how abortion is represented in different media outlets. So looking at how it's portrayed in a more highbrow newspaper compared to a more lowbrow newspaper, and like a teenage magazine, how it's represented to a male audience and things like that. So even from when I did my degree, I had an interest in healthcare and medical side of things. So for that, I interviewed a lot of doctors, nurses, psychologists, counsellors, which I really enjoyed. So after I completed my degree, I did a lot of work experience at my local newspaper and magazine in South Wales, which, as you can imagine, is not much going on there. That's really sort of groundbreaking, but I had a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And they eventually said to me, Chloe, you're not going to get paid until you go and do your NCTJ, which is essentially your official journalism qualifications. So I was like, right, okay, yeah, I think this is something I want to do long term, so I better go and get these qualifications, which there you learn all about media law, learn how to write in shorthand, which at one point I was writing to 100 words a minute, but I don't think I can do that anymore. And yeah, I loved that course, really enjoyed it and completed it. First job I applied for was a journalist role with S-Thetics, and I've been there ever since.
Just like that, right?
Like that, yeah.
Wow. And tell us about the last 8 years then, because you must have learned so much. I mean, I've learned so much in these years. But you
So much.
people.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when I first went for the job, it ticked a lot of boxes of what I knew I could do and what I was capable of. It was a monthly publication, which appealed to me, and it did have a medical side to it,
Yeah.
which also appealed to me. However, I didn't know much about the aesthetic specialty. I mean, I'd heard of Botox. I knew people got lip fillers and often looked like a trout pout type thing. I probably had a bit of maybe a negative outlook on it. You kind of mix up what is aesthetics, what's cosmetic surgery. Totally, really did not know much about the specialty at all. But I thought I'll give it a go, see how it goes. It's a good first step in my career. And then started off just by speaking to loads of different practitioners working in the specialty who have just been amazing, like you being one of them, who have totally embraced me and helped me understand exactly what treatments are available, how they work, the science behind them, because I think so many people don't recognize or are aware that there's a lot of clinical research that goes into products to make them as safe and as effective as possible, because that's the other thing. I think you can kind of hear about some things and go, oh yeah, is it really going to make a difference? But there are so many well-researched, well-evidenced treatments out there. And then yeah, it just sort of grew and grew. So I was a journalist there for about a year before I took on an assistant editor role. Then I moved to doing more sort of communications, marketing side of things for our events and for the journal, as well as editing. And then I took on my current role as editor and content manager 2 years ago. So I've loved it. I've completely grown up with it now. And I can't really see myself working in another specialty.
There we go. And I always say that in aesthetics, we're consumed by it. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating. And the science behind it, and that exact word that you said, the science behind the journalism of what you do.
Yeah.
You've embraced that. Not many people do, but you've completely immersed yourself in it and consumed yourself in it as well.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the highlight of your career for now, but I have a funny feeling we're not seeing the end of Chloe Gronow yet. I feel like this is just the beginning again as we reset into this new norm. But just looking at this new norm now, there's so much opportunity moving forwards. You've got your virtual, you've got your magazine coming out, you've got your physical next year, 2022. But to end on a note of positivity, as we end our conversation today, I would love for you to share with the world a note of positivity, and ending on that sort of message. What do we have to say to everybody?
Yeah, I think really just remember, better days are coming. There's always something to look forward to. It sometimes can feel like, oh gosh, when is that going to be? But I mean, just thinking, no, it's winter, it's rubbish weather, you can't go out much. In a couple of months, you'll be able to go out for a lovely walk and have the sun on your face, and it'll make you feel 10 times better. So always just look ahead and look at what you can do. What are you passionate about? What do you really care about? And just go for it. We've done it with the magazine. It was a long time coming. And we're so excited for it, and it's something to work towards. It keeps you busy and you feel like you're doing it for the right reasons. So just go for whatever goals you have.
I think that's great advice, and plan ahead, just go for it. So next year when we organize our big live event, please come to mine, and I'm definitely coming to yours. And it's all about the patient, it's all about the consumer, isn't it?
Really is, it really is. That's our ultimate goal, to make sure that everyone who's interested in aesthetics makes the right choices, chooses the right practitioner, has the best products, most effective products, and goes home feeling positive about it. It's not just about your appearance. So it's great to feel that you look better, but a lot of it is boosting your confidence and your wellness overall, and how you feel in yourself. So anything we can do to enhance that is really important, and something we're proud to be a part of.
There you are. And Chloe, I want to end this by actually thanking you for being a part of my entire aesthetic career here in Beaconsfield. My team and I are very grateful. We've been a part of it. I'm excited about the awards coming up. We've been shortlisted for 4, and whatever happens in May, whether virtual or physical, we'll be there.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And the same to you. You've been there with me from the start. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. And thank you very much for having me today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chloe. We'll see you again really soon. Okay. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks. Bye.